YouTube Ozzico in the Goat House is back with our updated NFL power rankings heading into week 5. We update these every Tuesday morning, every Tuesday night. We have weekly picks, Wednesday afternoon score predictions, and there's a lot more NFL content here, always adding more. So join us, like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, news, rumors, updates on there, talking during live games, always. Link pinned in the comments for that, as well as our picks league. And then for more info on the GLD shop, you see I'm rocking their Chiefs chain made from real gold. They have a lot of options, very affordable, and we have a code GOAT for 33% off. NFL players rocking their stuff as well. So link down below, pinned in the comments for anything you're looking for. Let's go on to the Week 5 power rankings here. And a reminder that these aren't end-of-the-year predictions, Super Bowl odds, anything like that. If you win, if you look good on the field, if you put together a winning streak, you go up. Doing the opposite won't do you any good. Resume kind of matters as well. Some people complain about head-to-head. Remember that there's 32 teams. We can't compare two teams in there that played each other 1 out of 4 games this year, or whatever week it is, how many games there are at that point. So that'd be a reason why to not look into head-to-head too much. But Texans still at 32, the only team without a win this year. They're kind of close in some of these games, obviously. I mean, they started to fight back against the Chargers. Their defense was looking pretty good for most of the year, the beginning portion of the year. Last game, they kind of went back to where we thought they may be, but the offense started a little slow, kind of got going there. But Dameon Pierce looks promising. That's kind of the good thing there. They got some good young defensive players as well, but they're at 32. We're going to need to get a win here. 31 is going to be the Commanders. They're down 5 spots. They're a really bad football team right now. I mean, they're on a 3-game losing streak, right? So that plays a part in them dropping down here. And all 3 of those games looked pretty bad. I mean, the only one they were close in was that Lions game, but they had to try to fight back, obviously. But losing the Cowboys last week, not good. They're really not looking good on either side of the ball, which plays a big factor of them being down here either. Like, you're not showing me anything good right now. And I know they have the talent there. They're capable of being way better, but they're not doing that right now. They're not putting it together. And I said it during the recap, too. All these teams are pulling off these upsets or making things interesting, but you got the Commanders here that are not even close in these last 3 games while they're on this losing streak. So it's pretty tough. They're down 5 spots. Play the Titans this week. I think it's a winnable game, but we'll see. Panthers are down 3 spots to number 30. They were very disappointing. I think it was a winnable game against the Cardinals, but they just could not score on offense. They score like 4 minutes left. Games, it's over pretty much. It's too late. Defense looks good though. It's like there's something about the team that actually looks decent, and that's the defense. I like the way it's coached. I like the way it plays, but the offense is so bad. It's got to be the worst in football. So it shouldn't be. Baker's playing bad, but I think the system, scheme, the play calling is even worse. So I'm mind-blowing on why they decided to hire Ben McAdoo. Like, it's just mind-blowing stuff, and they'd be better off with Joe Brady with Baker Mayfield right now for sure. So they haven't made the best decisions there. They're down 3 spots. Yeah, difference between them and the Commanders, like, at least the Panthers are showing me some good defense right now. That's really the only difference there. But yeah, both disappointing. Steelers down 4 spots. They've been extremely disappointing as well. 3-game losing streak. Lose to the Jets. Should not lose that game. They're 0-7 all time without T.J. Watt. He's more valuable than most of the quarterbacks in the NFL. Pretty wild. And it just feels messy. The Steelers feel messy right now. Like, they still can show us some good defense even without T.J. Watt. And they got playmakers on offense, but they're really not showing up right now because the quarterback play. But even when the quarterbacks finally throw a good ball, it's dropped. So it's just a mess. That's what it feels like right now. So can't lose that Jets game, especially how it went. Going into the game playing the Jets, can't lose that, right? And then how it went, like, you got the lead towards the end of the game, and you kind of just, you blew it. Not kind of, you blew it there. So down 4 spots to number 29. 28, the Bears are down 5 spots to that spot there. Tough loss against the Giants. Couldn't score a touchdown. All field goals instead of touchdown. So it's kind of been the common thing for the Bears is not being able to consistently move the ball or consistently get points. They can run the ball. The passing game, it looks like the worst in football right there with the Panthers. So that's brutal. It's a weird team, though, because the defense has kind of been solid. And that's why it's weird, because it's kind of a question, because they are absolutely terrible stopping the run. They're by far the worst in football right now. So it's like you can't really be like the run defense is like the number one thing. You got to be able to stop the run to be a good defense, really to be a good team. People don't realize that. But they've had really good moments on defense this year. pass defense, especially to win them games, but they are by far the worst run defense. So it's a weird team right here that run defense is terrible, pass offense is terrible, but they have 2 wins, but it's just not showing us a lot of good things on the field here, especially last week against the Giants, even though they were kind of in that game there. Jets going to go up 3 spots, number 27. The Jets are 2-2. Those 2 wins were pretty clutch, and that's impressive. There's a little bit of luck in those ones as well, but they got them, so they're going to go up 3 spots. Wilson got to take a little better care of the ball there, but he clutched up at the end. We know they have the weapons. The defense is promising. It's young. It's solid. So they're up 3 spots, number 27, after beating the Steelers. The Saints are down 7 to 26. So one thought was like, all right, they're pretty beat up, depleted, you can say, and they put up a fight against a now 3-1 Vikings team. So that's kind of the good in the loss there. But the way, it's kind of the way it is right now. They're on a 3-game losing streak, not great. And that Panthers loss is looking pretty bad right now, too, from last week. That looks even worse on the resume than it did. So it's kind of like it is what it is situation here. Like, we know if the Saints get healthy, they're going to be a lot better than 26. Let's go see it in action, though. You cannot go on a 3-game losing streak. They had a shot to beat the Vikings, and they couldn't pull it off, but that Panthers game last week, that's still hanging on there. That looks pretty bad. So they are down 7 spots, 26. 25, the Patriots down 1 spot. They had a pretty good outing, actually. They played the Packers, and they could have won that game and went to overtime, down to their 3rd-string quarterback. Running backs played well. So they had a pretty good outing. They got to find a way to win at the end of the day. They couldn't do that. But, again, pretty decent outing. It's just really just moving down a spot because kind of some other teams that were below them, quite a few other teams that were below them had to move up. So the Patriots actually only moving down 1 spot says, yeah, they actually look pretty good because a lot of teams that were down here that got their 2nd win are moving up. So, only down 1 spot for the Patriots there. 24, the Raiders going to go up 7 spots. That's a win. That's the first win of the year. 7 spots at 24. So, yeah, 7, I guess, is a lot for getting your first win, but it was a pretty good outing against the Broncos. A much-needed win because they haven't won one, but they're playing a division rival at home. You got to win that game. They go put up 32 points against a good defense. So that's a pretty good job there for the Raiders. But that's 1, and they move up 7 spots. Keep on doing it. Let's stay consistent now, and they can continue to move up there and get to where we think, or where a lot of us thought the Raiders could or should be. But there's 1. So we'll see. 23, the Lions going to go down 5 spots. Another loss for the Lions, 1-3. Looking at the whole year, the whole resume, it's like, they kind of feel better than a 1-3 in a way. They're closer to having more wins than less. Obviously, you would hope for a 1-3 team. So that's kind of the good for a 1-3 team. But then the defense might be the very worst in football, so they take a hit from that too, like what they're showing on the field. But it almost cancels out with the offense looking pretty damn good, especially when they're beat up. But still a bad game overall. You cannot give up that many points, yardage to the Seahawks. The Lions are dead last in yards allowed per game. I think that last game will do it, but it happened. So they're down 5 spots to number 23 there. I go back to last week against the Vikings. That was such a missed opportunity from the Lions. Missed big opportunity, a division game. And that hurt them going on this week, and they lose in that shootout. So it's just tough. Lions could be better than where they're at right now, but they're not. They got to go out there and win the games. Colts, they went up after beating the Chiefs. That was a good-looking win, I guess. And then they go down 9 spots now after an ugly outing against the Titans. It ended up being a 7-point game. They, technically had a shot at the end, but overall, this was a very bad, sloppy game at home against your division rival to kind of stay at the top of the division here, be at the top. And it was just such a mess for most of this game, especially the early portion of the game. The game felt like it was over right away. And the Titans just kind of worked on the clock there. So it's just Colts have been extremely disappointing. And now they have some injuries that make it even more disappointing. But a lot of teams have injuries. I mean, including the Titans. Titans probably were more beat up. They were actually. Maybe not now going forward. Yeah, they think they still are. But the Colts, very disappointing. Down 9 spots to 22. 21, Seahawks are up 8 spots after that incredible offensive performance against the Lions. 48 points, a ton of yards. Run game was elite. Pass game was great. Defense, they gave up a bit there, but they get their 2nd win of the year, and they have wins over the Broncos, and then now the Lions, who have an explosive offense, obviously, so they're going to go up 8 spots, 21. Helps that some of these other teams, a lot of these other teams lost as well. Browns going to go down 4 spots to number 20. Man, the Browns are weird too. They're a weird team because they kind of look good at times. Like this could be a physical offense where it's very tough to stop, and they're gaining yards. They're up there in yards per game, and you could say they should be a lot better. They could be undefeated. I mean, they choked that Jets game away, and the Falcons game. I mean, if they kept running the ball, they were going to win that game, and the Falcons could not stop them on the ground. But they're not closing these games out, and you look at their schedule on top of it, and they're 2-2 with a pretty damn weak schedule in terms of the first 4 games. So now it's going to get a little more difficult with the Chargers, which the matchup may say Browns because how good they run the ball, but I think we know the Chargers are overall a better team. So Browns is like, man, they could be 4-0, but they're not. They're blowing games, and it's a little disappointing there. So they're down 4 spots, number 20. Falcons going to go up a whopping 9 spots. I mean, that's a good win against the Browns there. They ran very well against them. They clutched up when they needed to on both sides of the ball. They didn't really have to do a whole lot in the passing game to win that game either. But, squeaked by the Browns. And then you kind of look at that they're on a 2-game winning streak. They beat the Seahawks, who last week, that on the resume kind of looking a little bit better now. What the Seahawks are able to do offensively, so that looks a little better for the Falcons. Kind of look at the other games too. This is a team that's actually close to being 3-1, maybe 4-0. They should have beat the Saints in week 1. They couldn't find a way. They lost at the end of the day. And the Rams was actually a winnable game the way they came back and they were in the red zone, at the end of the game before the interception. But so this team's a little sneaky. They're on a 2-game winning streak. They're fresh off beating the Seahawks and the Browns. Those are pretty good wins there for them. So they are up 9 spots to number 19. A tough one against the Bucs this week, which it's doable. It looks like it's doable there. 18, the Broncos going to go down 6 spots. Broncos extremely disappointing. The topper for this week was going into this week. It was like, all right, the offense is extremely, extremely disappointing. Like, what is happening? This is so disappointing. It's so underwhelming. But hey, at least they got a top tier defense, right? Defense looking stout, and maybe not because against the Raiders, they did not want to tackle Josh Jacobs. They couldn't tackle Josh Jacobs. Carr only had to throw for 188. He was pretty efficient there. So the Broncos defense did not look right. They had some injuries in the end, and that could affect them going forward as well. But I just don't know it's a different matchup, but like what the 49ers game was and what the Broncos and the Raiders game was. So it's just a little weird. And history kind of shows, week 4 means a lot more for the rest of the year than weeks 1, 2, and 3. So now I'm a little worried if they got neither offense or defense. I think their defense will be better than what they played against the Raiders. I would hope. But it's a little concerning there. So they're going to go down 6 spots. They're hanging on to that 49ers win. They'd be a lot lower. They'd be in the bottom tier of teams, and they were a little fortunate to win that game against 49ers as well. But that's still a good win to have on the resume there. So they're still kind of hanging on to that, and they're down 6 spots, number 18. Cardinals are going to go up 4 spots to 17. Still Cardinals are another weird team because, they barely escaped the Raiders. They didn't, look good for majority of that game. The games they lost, it did not look good for any of those games. And the Panthers game, they didn't really look good for the beginning portion. The defense was great the whole game, but offensively, there's still some questions there. Pick 6 early. They finally got things going late, but it was, they were getting great field position from the Panthers, their offense making mistakes. So it's a little tough. They got some help that some other teams lost, but I like that they presented some defense out there. The defense looked really good, and they show that, there's going to be weeks where they can. And it was the Panthers' offense, but they can maybe win with defense, So the Cardinals go up 4 spots. Still a team I'm really trying to figure out. When in a way, I know they're not like a great team or they're not a bad team, but I'm still trying to figure out like where they're at exactly. Like, are they gonna, because they kind of squeaking by some of these wins, even though the score would show differently. But it's a weird team. 16, the Giants up 1 spot. They're 3-1. They get by the Bears. Not the best one on your resume, but they get by them. The Bears have been finding ways to clutch up at the end of games, and the Giants don't allow that to happen. Only losses to Cowboys. So, the Giants been pretty solid. The offense, running game looks great. The passing game could be a little more consistent. Now they got some injuries at the quarterback position. Defense has been solid, so they're up 1 spot to 16 after beating the Bears. Bengals going to go up 5 spots. On one hand, one side, you kind of look at, they beat number 2 last week in the power rankings, number 2, the Dolphins. So that is fantastic. And they won. So that, that's the reason why they won. They go up 5 spots to number 15 because at the end of the day, they won. They're on a 2-game winning streak. They beat the Dolphins. what they presented me on the field isn't super convincing, though, at the same time. Like, what was happening with the Dolphins in that game and looking at the matchup, at home Thursday night, the Bengals shouldn't have made that game. The game should not have been interesting. Like, they should have dominated that game the way it was going. So I wish they would show me a little bit more, make me a little bit more comfortable on the field. If they had a convincing win against the number 2 Dolphins, they would have went up a lot more, actually, off that 2-game winning streak. They would have went up a lot more. They would be better ranked than 15, obviously. So we'll see. Like a big game against the Ravens this upcoming week, which is Sunday night in Baltimore. The Bengals gave them all kinds of problems last year in the matchup. If you look at the matchup, where the strengths and weaknesses are, it actually may say the Bengals, but it's in Baltimore Sunday night. The Ravens may have be the better team based on how they're playing this year, so that's going to be an interesting game, to say the least. Titans are going to go up 8 spots to number 14. They're on a 2-game winning streak here. They beat the Colts, rival game in Indianapolis. The Titans are really supposed to lose this game. They come out and dominate it. They almost let them come back, though. That's the scary part. They keep doing that in the second half. And they're like by far the best team in football, like statistically in the first half, and then the worst team in football in the second half. It's very weird. It's because they really hit the brakes, I think, with the play calling, But I understand last week because they were winning the turnover battle. They knew the Colts probably couldn't do enough to come back because their offense is struggling. They have injuries, so let's just run the clock. Let's not turn the ball over. They got a little carried away with it. But, Titans are starting to look more like the Titans, looking at the Raiders game, the Colts game, getting Derrick Henry going, getting pass rush, making plays, big-time plays, like clutch plays. So they're starting to look a little bit more like the Titans in the beginning, very early portion of the year. We're still early in the year, but they did not look anything like the Titans. So it's good to see that out in the field. So they're going to go up 8 spots to number 14. They'll play the Commanders this week at 31. Titans always, I feel like, I don't know, there's a lot of teams like that, but I feel like they always play worse against those types of teams. So we'll see. That actually could be an interesting game. Chargers going to go up 1 spot to number 13. I like that they got the offense going there. They almost let a comeback happen, the Texans, but they made a lot of plays early in this game, clutch plays. Again, scored 34 points. Offense looked great. Was the Texans, but they're going to go up 1 spot to number 13. Jaguars are going to move down 1 spot. I still think they're kind of, in a way, showing some good football out there, even though there was some sloppiness with the fumbles, the turnovers there. But rain was a factor. Rain is part of football. Hopefully, for their sake, it doesn't rain a whole lot more the rest of the year. I mean, it could in Jacksonville for sure, but overall, they look dominant at times during this year, and they put up a fight with the Eagles, who are the only undefeated team, number 1 team, obviously. Spoiler. They had some offense early in that game. They just didn't put a complete game together, and they got a little sloppy, but they've shown some good things on both sides of the ball. So I didn't see any reason to move them down any more than that. Some of these other teams that are on the rise, I didn't really feel like they needed to be above them. That's just me, though. Bucks going to go down 4 spots to number 11. That's a 2-game losing streak after a disappointing loss to the Packers last week and a disappointing one of the Chiefs this week. They finally got some offense together. They were trying to play keep up, though. And the Bucks, it's like, do they have the best defensive football? It was debatable. It was like either 1 or 2 going into this week. And it's like, I know they played the Chiefs, but man, you got to take them out of that conversation as we sit right here, right now. So it's like, I think any given week, like, can the offense defense be on the same page, ever? That's kind of what it feels like right now. So 2-game losing streak, and factor that in, they're deserving of moving down here, which we're kind of used to seeing them in the top 8 tier of teams. They're down here at 11. 10 going to be the Rams, and the Rams move down. I don't know where the arrow's at. The Rams move down from number 4. So that's 6 spots. Rams down 6 spots. Not sure what happened to the arrow there. I apologize for that. But the Rams down 6 spots to number 10. 2 losses on the year. Not the best resume out there. And coming off that disappointing loss to the 49ers, after on Monday night last night, it just really felt like, even though the score may not show it too much, it really felt like they got dominated in that game. I mean, they couldn't score a touchdown. They just really struggling. It looked like they got punched in the mouth a little bit there. It kind of seemed like a classic regular season Rams 49ers game. I don't know what's with that. So they are down 6 spots to number 10 after another loss there. Number 9 is going to be the Ravens. Ravens down 1 spot after that. It's tough because you put up a good fight against the Bills. They outplayed them for a portion of that game, but then they choke away another one in the end. That's 2 on the year that they could be 4-0, but they're not because they're blowing games in the end. So it's in a way, it's like, they feel like they don't trust their defense, even though their defense played a decent in an early portion of this game, or most of this game. And the offense, it's, they were scoring early, but then they couldn't, I guess they were scoring off turnovers too. But yeah, they really didn't get anything consistent rolling throughout this whole game as well. So as another team, can you have both the offense and defense on the same page at the same time? They're going to be down one spot to number 9. We know they're capable of being better than this, but they got to go out and show it there. The Vikings are going to go up 2 spots. Not the prettiest win against the Saints. Saints were a little beat up. Vikings barely escaped it. They got some help, but some other teams losing, going to 2-2, and the Vikings just going to 3-1 here. So they're going to go up to number 8. It just seems like for everyone, it's hard to consistently win. So they are 3-1, so give them their credit there. Their offense clutches up when it needs to, but not the prettiest. It was in London. We'll give them that, I suppose, but it's a game they really should dominate. And they, the way they were moving the ball early, coming up with 3 instead of 7, they could have, but they, so even though they're up and even though they're 3-1, I'm not really super thrilled about what they put out there. Niners are going to put them up 8 spots. They have some disappointing losses. They really should be 4-0. They're not, but they could be. But a dominating win against the number 4 team last week in the Rams, it helps you a lot. Dominating fashion, too. There's moments where this team just looks really, really dangerous. The way they hit you in the mouth, they pound the football. They threw it pretty well. Jimmy Garoppolo looked a lot better. He's kind of getting, probably would make sense for him to get better and better as the year goes on, as he recovers, or does he injure himself more? Who knows? But don't like to predict those things. The defense looked like it could be the best in football there. Just that Broncos game's really sticking to me. They should have won that game. I don't know how they let that one get away. But a dominating win against a team we had ranked 4 last week. It just felt like they've shown me enough to be better than some of these other teams that I put them ahead of. So they're going to go to 7. Packers are going to stay put at 6. They won, found a way to win. A little disappointing outing, though, in overtime against the Patriots when they were down to their third-string quarterback. But they found a way to win in the end, and they are on a 3-game winning streak, so they stay in the top 6. The Cowboys, I put the Cowboys up 4 spots. Cowboys showing me some good things on the field. They're on a winning streak. They haven't lost since that Week 1 game where Dak got hurt. Cooper Rush has been fantastic for them. They're missing guys everywhere. It doesn't even feel like they are, because they're playing such good football. They're not missing anything on. They're missing players on offense, but they're not missing a beat on offense. They're looking good on both sides of the ball, but a big factor in kind of what we've been touching on is how you look on the field. It just looks like they clear-cut have the best defense in football right now. There's other teams that were kind of in that conversation with them, but they slipped up. That's what teams do as a long season goes on. The Cowboys haven't slipped up yet. They've consistently been the best defense, and they look like that through every single week. So that played a big factor for me, having something that's kind of number 1 worthy there. So they're up 4 spots to number 5. They play the Rams this week. That's going to be a fun game. I had a lot of defense in that game, so they're at number 5 there. Number 4, the Dolphins go down 2 spots. Yeah, a disappointing one, but it's not a whole lot you can do in that one. It was a winnable game in the end, but Tua goes down in devastating fashion. You think that's got to hurt the team a bit, not because he's out, but because exactly what happened. But and he has that connection with Waddle. Waddle's not catching any balls after he's out. And the defense, they ran out of corners. They still had an opportunity to win. They couldn't find a way, but it's one we can't really hold against them too much. At the end of the day, they did lose. They're down 2 spots to number 4. See what Tua's going to be back. Obviously, he's going to be out this week. We'll see if they can get back on track here. They play the Jets this week, so which they're sneaky. Never know. The Bills are going to stay put at 3. It was a good come from behind win there against the Ravens. They were a little sloppy for a portion of this game. It didn't really feel like Bills football, but they did clutch up and find a way to win. They are at number 3. I think the Chiefs were deserving of hopping up 3 spots, number 2, after having the best offensive performance on the season in the entire league so far against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which up until the 4 weeks felt like, I thought it was like, I'm like, Cowboys, Bucks, who's got the best defense? They're both ridiculous. There's other great defenses too, but those were the ones, and the Chiefs did that to them, and it's crazy because there's teams that have really good offensive performances every week. They may score more than 41 or around that, and they look good. But I haven't seen anything that looks like that this year yet. It was just so fast, so smooth. It's like everything was perfect, was working well-oiled machine. So it was, the defense gave up some points, but they had that game controlled. And the defense also made some plays though too. They stopped the run early. Offense kind of took the run game away though. That strip sack was huge. The blitzes were great. So the Chiefs up 3 spots, number 2 after that insane offensive performance. And the Eagles are still at number 1. Not a massive shocker there. The only undefeated team. They a little bit of a scare against the Jags early. They were down 14-0 right away. And there's teams that do that, even if they're good teams. And it's like it sucks the life out of them. They dig themselves a hole. They can't really do much. But the Eagles found a way to adjust, and they kind of played better everywhere since that. They got down 14-0. They played every, not just one side of the ball, not just both sides of the ball. Like every unit, every player felt like came together and played and adjusted and played better. That's kind of something we talked about, I think, going into the season, kind of my feelings on them in preseason, kind of the training camp leading up to it. Kind of gave me the team vibes, like they come together. I think I said that at some point, and that's kind of like the vibes you get in a game like this against actually a tough team in the Jaguars. So it's tough to win in this league too. You see a lot of upsets this year, a lot of weird games. It's kind of feeling like college football in a way. Eagles are still winning. They're still undefeated. So definitely deserving of being number 1. So yeah, that will wrap up the Week 5 power rankings here. We got our weekly picks tonight, score predictions tomorrow. We got all kinds of NFL content. We're going to be adding more along the way, so hopefully you join us for all that. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications on. There's very important links pinned in the comments there that you should check out, so check those out. Love to hear your guys' rankings or thoughts in the comments as well. Always look forward to seeing those. But that is going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.